I don't stand with pick-me's, and I don't stand with billionaires.
Anybody who is not a straight white Swiftie is going to have some thoughts about this.
Okay, who do you allow in your life? Are you going to allow homophobes?
Now, we've got to talk about Taylor Swift, and in particular, a more rabid subsection of her very online fandom, which is known as the Swifties. Taylor Swift fans online, and young people call themselves Swifties. Some of them are frankly losing their shit right now for a pretty absurd reason, because Taylor Swift a few days ago was photographed at the Kansas City Chiefs game with Brittany Mahomes, who is the wife of Patrick Mahomes, who's on the Chiefs, I guess. We're really testing the limits of my sports ball NFL knowledge with this one, guys, so apologies in advance. But anyway, Taylor Swift was photographed hugging and smiling with her apparent friend, Brittany Mahomes, who is another partner of a person on the team, because Taylor's dating one of the players from the Chiefs, I guess. So, the long and short of it is that apparently Brittany Mahomes is, gasp, a Trump supporter. Or at least she liked a couple posts that were pro-Trump. So people are assuming she's a Trump supporter. And now some irate Swifties are melting down and coming unhinged because Taylor dares be seen in public with somebody with different political views than the ones that they subscribe to. It's a stunning display of intolerance and close-mindedness, and we're going to unpack some of the most unhinged reactions I've seen online. One Taylor Swift fan account tweeted, "To all my POC and marginalized Swifties who are struggling with seeing Taylor with Britney, I see you, I am with you, and I love you." Ugh, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. First and foremost, because y'all need to get real problems if the biggest problem in your life is that your favorite pop star took a photo or was seen being friendly to somebody who has opinions you don't share. Really? That's your biggest problem in the world, babe? And there's something infantilizing about this as well, like POC and marginalized LGBTQIA plus alphabet people, they're so fragile and vulnerable. They're just going to be melting. They must be having such a hard time right now because of that Taylor Swift photo. No, actually, people in minority groups are not emotional toddlers, most of them, who melt down into puddles over minor things on the internet that don't really please them. Like the condescending view. I'm almost certain this was a woke, straight white woman who posted this, and it just accidentally reveals a very condescending view of people of color and other minorities. It's really quite something to behold. But there were a bunch of other unhinged tweets from Swifties that kind of came along in the same vein. Another one said, "We as Swifties need to call out Taylor for being hypocritical and a performative activist. She cries and makes a huge deal about being an activist in Miss Americana and then surround herself with Trumpies and predators. I'm so disappointed in her. Babe, you need to get a grip. Okay, because if you are so disappointed that she dare be friendly with a teammate's wife who is in the same box as her and who happens to have indicated some degree of support for Trump or Republicans, then you have way too much invested in the social life of a random pop star, no matter how much you like her music, and you're reading way too deep into this. Okay, this is not normal. This is Delulu. And I guess inherent to this is a belief I fundamentally reject, that just because someone disagrees with you politically, they must be an entirely bad person, right? If they're a Trump supporter, they must be evil. So how could you associate it with evil? In reality, most people, there are a few exceptions out there, but most people are not entirely bad or good. All people are far more than just their political views. They have many sides to them and shades of gray, and we should be able to see the good and bad in everyone and take what's there, take the goodness that's there in people, even if we do have some different values or different experiences or different beliefs. Nobody, or at least very few people, are entirely bad or entirely good, and it's just a very close-minded approach to the world that you shouldn't even be seen in public with a friend who thinks differently. Like, get a grip. Okay, it's giving close-minded, it's giving unhinged, it's giving parasocial relationship as well. It wasn't just Twitter, where you can always find crazy people posting things, but this same kind of attitude was expressed on TikTok at great length. So I'm going to play you guys a little compilation of TikTokers, some Swifties, some just kind of left-wing types, complaining about Taylor taking this photo and daring to be friendly to somebody who, gasp, is a Trump supporter or whatever. Let's take a listen to these, frankly, moderately unhinged videos.
Taylor Swift is even worse because she surrounds herself with misogynistic, Trump-supporting people. Like, she is supposed to be the rah-rah advocate for feminism, to be this, like, icon in the pop space, when these are the people that she associates herself with. Birds of a feather flock together. I don't stand with pick-me's, and I don't stand with billionaires.
I have always felt that You Need to Calm Down is a performative LGBTQ song. And honestly, here is the proof, because if she was an ally, she would not be hanging around a Trump supporter. That's just the very plain and simple.
Anybody who is not a straight white Swiftie is going to have some thoughts about this, because Trump and everyone who supports him are literally coming for our necks, particularly trans people and people of color, poor people, like the list goes on. So yeah, people can say that it doesn't matter who Taylor is seen with, because you can have friends who don't agree with you politically, but I don't find that to be true at all, that you can just have friends who disagree with you politically. I personally have distanced myself from almost all of my living family members, which is very few, and many of my long-term friends, because I live in a red state, and many of those people have turned into Trumpers. It's not as simple as like, oh, we disagree, but we can still be friends. You can't agree to disagree on human rights.
Can Taylor Swift be friends with Brittany Mahomes? Sure, but then we are going to have to speculate, okay, who do you allow in your life? Are you going to allow homophobes? Like,
oh my God, these people are exhausting. This bizarre guilt by association, policing of somebody and trying to dictate their entire worldview by simply whether they're able to be around other people that disagree with them. It's such unhinged stuff. I really don't get it. I mean, nothing is ever good enough for these types. You can literally be an open LGBT activist like Taylor Swift, write whole songs about how gay people don't need to change and you're great and you're perfect, wave the rainbow flag, donations, get involved in politics to support LGBT rights, all this stuff, and you're still not good enough. Nothing is ever good enough. It must be exhausting to try to stay in the good graces of woke progressives. Like, I don't try, because it's just that ship sailed literally half a decade ago for me. So I've never even tried. But if you are somebody like Taylor Swift who tries to appease these people, it must be exhausting, because the sand is always shifting beneath your feet, right? The ground is always shifting. You can never keep up. Now, it's not enough to be a full ally, to have donated, to have gotten involved in politics. You also need to cut every person out of your life who is even a Republican. Although, again, there's that false premise that means all Republicans are anti-gay or anti-LGBT or whatever, which is not true. I mean, at this point, there are many gay Republicans and gay LGBT voters. So it is just not true. In fact, a lot of this is just rooted in dystopian levels of propaganda and hysteria, like with the one chick that said Republicans want POC and minorities dead and are coming for their necks. It's like, you people live in an imaginary world that doesn't exist. So I guess maybe if you truly did believe these demented, deranged distortions, I could understand how you wouldn't want to be people to be seen with somebody who supports like mass slaughter of people, but like, that's just not reality at all. So I don't know how you can reach that dark place, though maybe I can see how you spiral like this once you're there, I guess. But and I'm sorry to the lady with the pink hair who talks about how she cuts off all her friends and family and is just alone in her apartment filming TikToks, basically, because people support Trump and I live in a red state. Like, I'm sorry that Taylor Swift is not as mentally ill as you. Like, okay, you expect her to be? No, babe, we should be working on you, getting you to the normal place that Taylor Swift is in, where she's an adult who can coexist with other people and get along with people, even though you have differences of opinion. That's normal. Where you are is bleak. And I say that with some degree of compassion. You actually need to seek help. Like, that's not good. You're destroying your life in the name of intolerance and some bizarre political cult you've fallen into. It's really, really sad, but don't project those expectations onto people like Taylor Swift, who by all accounts seem relatively normal and well-adjusted, because we're not going to be like you. We don't want to be like you. And there's a reason for that. And nothing pisses me off more than this trite line about you can't disagree about human rights. Well, babe, y'all have defined your politics so that everything you agree with is a human right. So by that logic, you just take a disagreement off the table. If that were literally true, if we were just talking about true core human rights, that would be one thing. But they now call everything a freaking human right under the sun. So that one no longer works. Okay. It does not work. Overall, this story, it amused me. It really does. I love when woke people are eating their own. But on another level, it makes me really sad because it kind of encapsulates what I see as a totalizing and reductive and close-minded worldview where you just have no space for any nuance or any humility that the questions dividing the world might actually be complicated enough that good people could reach different sides in good faith. No, you have it all figured out. These random Swifties on the internet have answers to all the complex questions that divide us, and the answers are so clear and simple that it's just the good people versus the bad people. It's really sad. It's a really close-minded and reductive worldview, and it's not exclusive to woke people by any means, but this story really did encapsulate it. It's just a microcosm to me of everything that's wrong with our politics and our society. And once again, to the Swifties, you need to calm down. You're being too loud. I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think of this crazy story and of the Swifties community more broadly in the comments below. And do remember to hit that like button to reward my suffering through this absolute cesspool of insanity that is the Swiftie internet fandom.